Sam Bruce here with Greg Growden for your Super Rugby Round 2 tips for footytips.com.au. Greg, before we get to round 2, round 1, some incredible upsets first up.
Well, I said back home teams, I looked like a complete dill. It was one of the strangest first rounds I've ever seen, where you had the two teams in the finals were absolutely diabolical. But stick with us, we'll get you there eventually.
Round 2 kicks off down in New Plymouth across the ditch. Chiefs hosting the Brumbies at Yarrow Stadium. Looks like the game of the round, two teams who laid down an early marker first up.
Exactly. These were the two best teams in the first round. Chiefs were outstanding. What we were talking about before, the Sonny Bill factor was crucial. And the Brumbies looked terrific. Big problem there is the Brumbies won't have David Pocock this week. He's got that mystery illness. What's it, syndesmosis?
Syndesmosis, yeah.
Sounds like a group from the 70s. But and I think that will affect them because I'm going to go the Chiefs. I think they'll win, but tight. But this is definitely the game of the round.
I really liked Tafita Kurandrani's performance last week. I think you picked him out in your Growden report
he was my player
on Monday.
of the round. Yep.
He, going forward for me, I think he could be enough to get the Brumbies over the line. I really like Matt Tamua's game first up as well. So it's the Brumbies for me. Okay. Next up, we're back across to Melbourne to Amy Park, where first up winners, the Rebels, who stunned the Crusaders, hosting the team which were probably battled the most first up, the Waratahs.
The Rebels played a very smart game against the Crusaders, very tight. I thought Higginbotham played well, the pack played well, and already we can see they will trouble. They will trouble. This wasn't a surprise win, but I don't think it's going to happen 2 weeks in a row. The Waratahs, I think with Michael Checker berating them for 5 or 6 days, I heard even on Sunday night after their diabolical loss that he didn't stop screaming at them for about 3 hours. So I think that'll get the Waratahs back on track. So the Waratahs, I reckon they might win pretty comfortably.
I agree. I don't think it'll be comfortably, though. I think the Rebels, I really like the way they muscled the Crusaders up front, and I think they'll probably do similar to the Waratahs. I just can't see the Waratahs making that many mistakes again this week. I think a tight win to the Waratahs. Next up, Bulls and the Hurricanes over in Pretoria. Bulls stunned at home by the Stormers first up, and the Hurricanes picked up a valuable away win against the Lions.
Yeah, I didn't pick the Hurricanes to win the Veld. You'd say Hurricanes would be favourites, particularly they've been up on the Veld. And the Bulls, they're complaining about their pack. Like, I've never heard that before in my life. They say the scrum of the Bulls is diabolical, but I think I'm just going to go home team here. Hurricanes could easily win, but I'm going to go the Bulls, maybe by a point or two.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Bulls bounce back after last week, and the Hurricanes probably be happy with 1 from 2 in South Africa.
Oh, exactly.
It'd be a fair return. Maybe if they can pick up a bonus point there, crucial for the finals later on.
Yeah, right, to even beat the Lions. That's a coup. That will help them later on in the year.
Highlanders Crusaders in the South Island Derby on Saturday afternoon down in Dunedin. Looking like no Dan Carter for the Crusaders, and they were very ordinary against the Rebels first up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Dan Carter this year. He was hobbling early on. I thought their half combination didn't work. They seem way out of sorts. But I'm going to do the same thing as I said with the Waratahs. I think it's going to be the bounce back. The Highlanders will be, playing at Dunedin is such an important factor for them because you've got all the Scarfies and all the lunatics down in the ground. But I just got a feeling the Crusaders will be stung, as was the Waratahs. So I'm going to go the Crusaders, but not by much.
I'm on the Highlanders here. I think the extra week off, extra week's preparation, their key three, their spine, Aaron and Ben Smith, and then Malachi Fekitoa at 13. And I think Nasi Manu, the skipper, a pretty handy back row.
It'll be a good game, no matter what. It'll be probably the most entertaining game of the round.
Following that, we've got the Reds hosting the Force up at Suncorp. Reds were disgraceful first up.
Unbelievable. It was diabolical. And the sad thing about it, we don't even know even further Carmichael Hunt whether he's any good or not because he played against a terrible pack. Their discipline was appalling. You had a Wallaby World Cup captain, James Horwell, 6 penalties against him and gets a red card. It was unbelievable. Force, the minimalist footballers, they play 8 or 9 man football. I don't know, this could be a pretty rugged game to watch, but this might sound strange. I think the Reds will get up.
Richard Graham, if he loses this one, where does that leave him?
Well, already, I'm noticing that some of his biggest supporters in the media are starting to say, oh, he's in doubt. I think if he loses a couple more, sayonara. As I said to you a couple of weeks ago, I'm even surprised he's there now, to be honest.
I agree with you, though. I think James O'Connor's inclusion coming back in, whether that's at number 10 remains to be seen. And I think a better performance from their pack this week might just see the Reds get home up there in Brisbane. Stormers v Blues across in Cape Town. Stormers shock winners over the Bulls first up, you'd have to say, and the Blues, well, they just didn't really show a lot at all against the Chiefs.
No, just go Stormers here. It's going to be what game to ignore. Go Stormers. Let's get on to the next one.
Stormers for me. Sharks and Lions at Kings Park. Two teams that lost first up as well. Another game which I'm tipping doesn't hold a great deal of interest for you.
No, I don't think I'll be getting up for this one. But still, it's interesting whether if the Sharks have another bad game because change of coaching regime, they thought with Jake White-Gold gone and Gary Gold in, there'd be a bit of a difference. So they would have been very upset. If they lose another one, especially to the Lions, there'll be drama in Durban. So Sharks, only by not much, I don't think.
I think the Sharks will get home comfortably there. That's round 2 for Super Rugby on footytips.com.au. Where there's a shout out to Bob Thomas, who ranked number 1 of just over 19,000 tippers. He was one of only 19 tippers to pick a perfect round first up, Greg.
You're kidding, are you? If someone's picked a perfect round, they must have thrown up in the air and just put it picked up. That's impossible. How can someone seriously have picked that round?
To show just how tough it was, the average for the round was 3 winning tips. And of course, if you think you've got the goods, you can challenge the ESPN Scrum Super Stars League, where Greg Growden, myself, Andy Withers and Brittany Mitchell challenge us.
We had 2 wins and I thought we were lucky. Yeah, so here's your chance to make us look like idiots. It's simple, because we're struggling.
Very scratchy. And remember to enter your tips each week to maximise your chances of winning an all-expenses-paid trip to Auckland for the Bledisloe Cup. Of course, that's at www.footytips.com.au. Remember to follow all your Super Rugby and Six Nations news at espnscrum.com. Greg, you'll be back next week?
Can't wait.